So continuing with the thought of football, let's take it to college football for a second. So, one of the biggest things that we do as sports fans are what ifs. What if this team would have drafted Allen Iverson? What if LeBron would have had an all-time great head coach like Mike and Jordan did? What if so on and so forth? Should this person have won MVP back in 2009? All that kind of stuff, right? So indulge me for a second. As you know, 2-5 is a big college football fan, my first love and all that good stuff. So I started thinking today, as we see that conference realignment is still going on, all the Big Ten schools are in their conferences now. SMU is a member of the ACC now. We're just waiting to see, what's going to happen. August 1st is the date for, Utah and those guys to officially join the Big 12. But I was thinking about the Pac 12 today in that vein. And I was thinking, did the Mountain West, did their lack of loyalty to one another stunt their growth? Because, there was a time where the Mountain West had TCU, Utah, Boise, BYU, and they were wreaking havoc on college football. This was right after Boise had beat Oklahoma. They were in the WAC at the time, but 2 years later, they joined the Mountain West. So, as I was thinking about this, you had the BCS were terrified of Boise and TCU. They made them play each other in the Fiesta Bowl in 2010 because they got tired of these schools smacking around their blue bloods. For example, Utah smacking Alabama all over the Sugar Bowl in 2008, finishing the regular season as the only undefeated team in the country. Florida was your national champion by virtue of their win over Oklahoma, but Utah finished undefeated, and that goes back to my point of why are we pretending if they can't win the national title, why are they playing at the same level, right? But they can win the national title. Anyway, you had TCU beat Wisconsin in a Rose Bowl, a few years after that. You had Boise and TCU match up twice in that window and play one score games. In the last 20 years, and of course, this goes back to the old Mountain West before Boise showed up. The Mountain West has had 4 teams finish in the top 5. So if they would have stayed together, because we knew about Larry Scott and the bad leadership within the Pac 12, we knew about UCLA and USC getting their deals where they got a disproportionate amount of funds compared to the rest of the conference. The same thing that got the Big 12 in trouble with Texas and Oklahoma. You think you're doing the right thing because you're trying to take care of your cash cows, but we've seen that it doesn't work. Look at the ACC now. Clemson and Florida State are trying to get that same sweet deal and leave the Boston colleges and Wake Forests behind. But instead, guess what? They're trying to leave the conference now because it never works. Because no matter what you're getting, you're going to look over there and you see that the SEC is getting more. You look over there and you see the Big Ten is getting more. So the greed doesn't stop. The necessity to survive does not stop. So I understand why Utah left for the Pac 12. I understand why TCU left for the Big 12, especially to get near your peer universities, Baylor, Texas Tech, so on and so forth. But with the leadership, the way that we know the Pac 12 to have been, could the Mountain West have committed a coup? Because when you look at Boise, Utah, TCU, and compare them to, say, Cal, UCLA, let's throw Washington State, Oregon State in there, just for giggles. And, those are the 2 teams, Washington State and Oregon State, that the Mountain West are trying to woo or potentially join in some new form of a PAC conference. But was it all there? Did they have an infrastructure in place to where now you come up through the years, you got schools like UTSA, North Texas, where the Mountain West could have expanded and be in a better position than they are currently. Because right now, I don't want to say they're at the mercy of the Pac 12, but Oregon State, Washington State, they have the name, they have the money. They're going to call Colorado State, they're going to call San Diego State, who was on the verge of joining the Pac 12 before it imploded. So, like, I just wonder sometimes could the Mountain West had survived and got to being in a position of power? Just something that was on my mind. What do you think? Let me know. Like, review, subscribe. 25 Sports Reports as ordered. Out.